So if you can see this up here, if you're sitting at home, that's what you would see.
Is anybody over right now?
Not that I know of. But it's open. Somebody could join it. about another one? Which other one should I do? Or do I have somebody that will come up and do one? Victoria? No? Yes? Oh, man.
You can do 7, 8.
7/8? Okay. Let me tell you about dividing by 8. If it doesn't divide evenly by 8, it will always end with a 7-5 or a 2-5. That's how you know you got it right. So, who's going in the box?
7.
Right? Top number always in that box. And I'm dividing it by 8. So once again, can I get 8 into 7?
No, no.
So I'm going to put that decimal in. All right, you got your multiplication table if you need it. How many times can I get 8 into 70? 8 times 8 is
64.
multiply and then subtract, right? It's been a while. You guys tend to forget things when you don't do them. After a while, we can forget them. I know I do. 70 minus 64.
6.
There we go. Another 0. How many times can I get an 8 into a 60?
7. 42.
5, 6, 7, 8.
56. Oh, yeah, 56.
5, 6, 7, 8. 7 times 8 is 56.
Subtract, you get 4.
All right. One more.
Bring down the last 0 to 40. The 8 can go up to 45 times.
All right. Now what? So my answer is 0.875. That 8 is in what place value?
Tens.
Tens, right? 1 back means 1, 0, so that's a 10. The 7 is in a,
100.
and the 5 is in,
1,000.
right? 1 0 is 10, 2 zeros is 100, 3 zeros is 1,000. So if I want you to round it to the hundredths place value, that means you got to look at the 5, and the 5 says that the 7 needs to do what? So this is going to be approximately 0.88. Right?
What you do with 7 again?
We rounded to the hundredths. So 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4 says your number stays the same when you're rounding, right? But 5, 6, 7, and 8, and 9 says you go up. So the 7 become an 8. Okay? All right, one more. And then I'm going to leave the rest up to you. If you do not have them all done, then you're going to have to get them done this evening.
2/3.
2/3? What was kind of wacky about 2/3, guys?
It was easy.
How did it end up?
A fraction.
There you go. All right, so I 2/3. Who goes in the box?
2.
And I'm dividing by 3. Now it's not the smaller or the bigger number, it's the guy on top, right? Decimal 0. How many times can I get a 3 into a 20?
6.
And 6 times 3 is? And what happens when I subtract? Get another 2, don't I? And no matter how many times I do that, I'm just going to keep getting 2s, right? So that's a 0.6. What's the repeating symbol? Now, is that rational or irrational?
Irrational.
Can I write it as a fraction?
Yes, no. 6 over 10.
No.
So I start out with 6 over 10.
You subtract it by 1, which is 6 over 9.
All right, does 6 over 9 reduce? Is there
Yes,
something
ma'am.
that's going to go into 6 and 9?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
3.
3. What's 6 divided by 3?
2.
Oh, yeah.
And what's 9 divided by 3?
3.
6.
What did we start with? 2/3, right? Takes you right back. So if I can write it as a fraction, it is
Rational.
rational. Can I write a repeating decimal as a fraction?
Yes.
So then it is rational, right? All right. So I should see that on your paper, showing me your work. And if you don't have any of the others done, that's going to get added to your homework tonight. You need to get them done. Let's get last night's homework out. Homework review. Now, before we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Pythagoras. Want to view and there we go. So when I have a side, that's 3. What do I get if I do 3 times 3? It's 3 times, if I do 3 squares by 3 squares. If I had 3 desks by 3 desks up in my room and they were all full, how many students would I have? 9, right? That makes a square of 9. And then if I have 4, and I do 4 by 4, so 3 gives me a 9 squared, 4 gives me a 16 squared. And what is 9 plus 16?
Yep.
9 plus 16.
27.
25.
25. That means that this square over here is going to have an area of 25. Now what I want to know is how long is this line? So if this area is 9, then that line was 3, right? If this area was 16, that line was 4. So this area is 25. How much is this line? 5. We need the square root of 25. And that's what Pythagoras says. It says a squared plus b squared equals c squared, right? That's what we're doing on these problems. Mathematically, we square our numbers. We add them, and then we get the square root. Why are you dragging so bad? Three steps to these problems. Square the numbers. What does it mean to square them? Multiply them by 2? Add them up? What does it mean to square these numbers?
Added by the same number.
Not adding.
Multiplying by the same number.
Multiply them by the same number. 7 squared is
49.
49. 9 squared is
81.
81. 10 squared is
100.
100. When we are squaring numbers, we are going to multiply them by themselves. All right, I'm going to skip those of you that weren't here. Last night's homework was the last 4 problems. Where's my paper? 10, 11, 12, and 13. I'm not going to start on 10. I'm going to start on 11. So if I have here, here, and here, what do we call those two sides where the 8 and 10 are? The legs. Those are my legs. And excuse me, I'm sorry. When I have my legs squared, I'm going to add them. And then I'm going to, it's actually not as hot as it's been most of the day. If you look here, I put it up. What does the Pythagorean theorem say? A squared plus.
B squared equals C squared.
Now, if I have both legs, when they make that 90-degree angle, I'm going to. But if I don't have a leg, I have a hypotenuse.
Subtract.
Then I'm going to subtract them, right? We put the biggest number first. So on this one, should I add or subtract? Add, right? So I have to do 8 squared plus 10 squared equals C squared. Write every bit of it, guys. If you don't have it on there, you don't see where I'm at on this paper. Backside, problem 11. So what's 8 times 8?
64.
64. Plus, what's 10 times 10?
1800. All the junk.
10 times 10
I was looking at that.
100 equals C squared.
equals C squared. All right, then I got to add them.
164.
Equals C squared. And regardless of whether I'm adding or subtracting, my last step is to always take the square root. Square root. So I need the square root.
Which is 144 and 169 and 12 and 13.
Okay.
64 minus 144.
So minus the smallest square, right? 164 minus 144. How much is that? And 169 minus 144. 25. So my answer is 12 and 20 over 25. So let me ask you this. Should I turn it in like that?
No.
20 over 25.
Oh, you can divide.
Who goes into both a 20 and a 25? 5. So it should be 12 and what's 20 divided by 5?
4.
And 5 to 25 divided by 5?
12 and 4.
All right. So when I have both legs, I've got to add. But look at problem 10. 10, I have a 24 and a 26. Now I got to square those numbers. Let's practice our squaring. What is 2 times 2? So I'm going to write 0, 4. 4 times 4?
15.
All right, 2 times 4. Doubled up,
Oh, 16.
and I put a 0 on the end, right? 6, 7, 5. What is 24 squared?
24 squared is 576.
All right, what's 2 times 2?
4.
6 times 6.
36.
2 times 6.
12, double it.
doubled up,
24,
put a 0 on there,
you get 670.
yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Alright, so 26 squared.
It's 676.
Now I have to do, should I add or subtract on this one?
Subtract.
Subtract.
I've got this hypotenuse, that means I've got to subtract. So 26 squared
Yeah.
minus 24 squared equals B.
82.
So, I wrote the wrong. 676
It's supposed to be A
minus, sir,
squared. It's supposed to be A squared, so B squared, right?
it don't matter. You can write A squared. 576 is just got to be one of the legs. Equals
100,
100 equals A squared.
which is 10.
And I'm going to take that square root. And A equals, yes? Alright, problem 12. Add or subtract?
Add A squared plus B squared.
I got two legs, right? When I have two legs, so I need 16 squared plus 30 squared equals,
900.
now you have 16. What's 16 times 16?
256 plus 900
Equals C squared 1,156 equals C squared. Alright, let's get a little bit of calculator help with that.
It equals 54. Yeah, that's wrong. My bad.
Equals what?
34. 34.
Let's test that. 34 times 34. I get 16 and 13. I get 12 and 10. 1156. Does that play out? So C is equal to
34.
34.
how we doing on them?
Good.
Yeah. What about the folks that were not here yesterday?
Alright.
I still, today might be first day, maybe you weren't here yesterday and we started this, I still expect you to be able to be working with us, gotta get involved. Alright, last one.
We add 1 squared.
Why are we adding?
Because it's going to go for legs.
Both legs. So what should I write?
1 squared plus 2.4 squared.
2.4.
24. Then
It does kind of look like a 2.4, doesn't it? You did 2.4, well, either way, I'll take it. C squared, what's 1 times 1? 24 times 24.
Oh, it wasn't a decimal one?
You would have 5.76 then, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Equals C squared.
And then it's 676. Plus C squared.
What do you get for 676?
See, I had a decimal, so I
That's
thought
fine. I'll take it.
I had 676 over 100.
And your square root is?
Oh, my bad. That's good.
Okay. And then for us that had 577, well, 576 plus 1 is 577, right? Equals C squared. And 6.76. These are two answers I will take. What's the square root of 577? 0.02. And what's the square root of 676?
Fifth grade, Reagan Little checking out.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
2 point
2.6.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so just a few more on that. And we're gonna go ahead, if you need a calculator, let's get one because we're gonna work on some problems where we're gonna be using some calculator help. If you're using one of mine, it's just the little red button. Some of you will probably need a shift key. Calculator. Hand up if you need one. I pulled these instead of the scientific because these have the easiest square root button on there. Okay. So let's put our homework aside and talk about our journal notes. We got a couple more. Examples to talk about. We're going to ask today, is it a right triangle? What's today's date for our notes? Is it a right triangle? Is what I need to find out. So if I have the numbers 5, 12, and 13, and I don't have a triangle, all I get is these three numbers. First of all, who's the hypotenuse and how do I know? And how do you know? Because the hypotenuse is always the highest number. It's always the longest side, so it's going to be that highest number, right? So then 5 and 12 have to be my legs. If this makes a right triangle, this is going to fit into the Pythagorean theorem. Is it a right triangle? Question mark. So how do I find out? Plug into a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I have to do 5 squared plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. So what's 5 squared? Plus, what's 12 squared?
144.
And what's 13 squared?
169.
One more question. What is 144 plus 169? I mean plus 25.
But you said 144 plus 144?
Just 25. Add your two numbers together. So does 169 equal 169?
Yes, ma'am.
So then that is
True.
true, and my answer is yes.
Yes.
It's a right triangle. Now, if I get an answer that's not true, does that mean it's not a right triangle? Yeah. So what if I have if I have 3 sides, 3 sticks, one is 6 inches, the second one is 8 inches, and the third one is 9 inches. Could I put those sticks together and make a right triangle? Plug it in. A squared plus B squared equals, who's my A and B?
6 and 8.
Y is 9. Oh, advertisement. I can't shop now. Go away. What you think? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
So what's 6 squared?
6 squared
Is 36. 8 squared is 64. 9 squared is 81.
So 36 plus 64 equals 81. Nope. So then my answer is
No.
100 does not equal
Wait,
81.
false.
So it's false. It's not a right triangle. If it comes out true, my answer is yes, it's a right triangle. But when it comes out false, my answer is no, it is not a right triangle. We're gonna stop asking all when we get to work time. We'll say yes. All right. Okay. Just a couple more examples. Where are you at on Pythagoras? You think you're at a 2?
This one.
A 2 is
100.
I'm doing pretty good. 3 is 100. I got it. 2 is I think I'm doing pretty good, but I need some practice, sir.
We talking about
Okay. But not so much on the triangles? All right, let's try a couple. Add or subtract?
Subtract. Subtract.
Right?
Okay,
My
17 on the
17 is the hypotenuse. So what should I write?
17 squared minus 8 squared equals C squared. 17 squared.
What's 17 times 17?
I did something.
Hang on.
17.
289 minus
Minus 8 squared, which is 64.
equals B squared. I square the numbers. I add or subtract the numbers. So what's 289 minus
25.
64?
225.
And regardless of whether I add or subtract,
You get 15.
I gotta take that square root. And B equals
15. Oh, I forgot to write the whole thing down.
15, right? Have these in your notes. I've had a lot of students who would write this problem down and then write that answer down. See, I took notes. Well, what's the problem with that?
You ain't right how to solve it.
Yeah, they didn't have anything helping them to get there. The answer don't teach you anything. Okay, what about oh, well, you got calculators, so
You add it,
Why?
cause they both on 2 legs.
Both of them are legs, and when I have both legs, I'm going to add it.
And you get A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
Uh-oh.
28 squared plus 21 squared equals C squared. 28 squared.
What do I get for 28 times
784.
28? 7. How much?
784.
Everybody better be agreeing with him so we don't get the wrong answer. Plus
441 equals C squared.
add.
You get 1,225.
And when I take the square root of 1,225,
You get 35.
okay? All right, today we're going to do a maze.
Maze.
And you don't know what problem to do until you get the answer to the next problem. So, first thing I need you to do is fill in just a couple of boxes. One more. Okay. Alright, so first thing, I want you to look at your left hand side, your right hand side over here. See where you got the 5 and 13?
This one I found it.
Okay, you see how that bar is blank there?
This one.
So in that bar, I want you to put a 12. In that bar, right there, I want you to write a 12.
That whole line.
In that bar. See how all these bars in between the problems have a number and that one doesn't?
This one.
I know. Now in the next one over, after it says leg 7 and leg 24, I want you to put a 25 in that box.
Which one?
Yep, right there. Yep. 25 in that one. Alright, we're going to start with our first problem. Where's our start?
Oh.
Skip that one for 25.
Down there, the alien, the 3, 4.
Okay. Alright, so our first problem is what?
The 3 and the 4.
Now you're going to need something for shading, so if you want to get a marker for up here, you're welcome to. So start problem. I have this triangle. Add or subtract? One answer, Sam. Just I want you to answer one time today. What? Do I have 2 legs or do I have a leg and a hypotenuse? Listen, guys, I will explain these problems over and over 10,000 times. I don't care how many times it takes, I will do it. But if you're sitting there, can't do it, not gonna do it, it don't matter what I do, you won't learn it. It's gonna be up to you whether you learn it or not. Your teachers don't make you learn. You gotta choose. Number 1. So should I add or subtract on problem 1?
You should add.
Two legs,
Why
Say-
get
add, right?
regular
Sir?
piece of paper or go to the back?
Yes, we're gonna do the problems on a regular sheet of paper so we can turn in our work. Thank you for asking because I forgot to say. I've got some in the drawer up here if you need a sheet of paper.
So what's the shape paper for?
Huh? That's where you're gonna answer it, but showing me your work is gonna be on regular. Remember, what's the homework grade? No fail. Show me all your work and you got 100. Now, when you get done tonight, you should have completed like 16 problems in all. Okay? So if you're doing a lot more than that, something went wrong somewhere. So what's 3 squared?
Oh, ma'am.
And what is 4 squared?
16.
I gotta quit writing in that pink, it just doesn't show up. Equals, alright, I'm adding so I get, and again, regardless of whether I add or subtract. Alright, my last step is always take that square root,
5.
right? C equals 5. Alright, so you see from your start problem, if you go up, you got a 25. If you go out this way, you got a 7. But if you go straight across, you got a 5, right? That shade in the 5. And that tells us that our next problem is 33 and 65. Does everybody see why I'm doing that problem next? Alright, are we done with 1? Okay.
Oh, it's a trick. Do I highlight the number 5 on the paper?
Just shade in that bar or highlight in that bar, that's fine. It's just telling you what problem you're going to do next. Alright, is everybody caught up on 1? Alright, because 5 took me to that box, then that's the problem I'm going to do next. So 33 and 65. Should I add that or should I subtract that? Everybody understand? I've got that hypotenuse, right? If I have the hypotenuse, that's a subtraction.
Minus 33 squared equals B squared.
B or A, whatever. Okay, I need 65 times 65. Maybe you don't have to draw
Squared is
just the problems.
4,225.
4225
Yes, ma'am.
minus 33 squared
33 squared is 1,088.
equals A squared. So when I subtract, what do I get?
You get 3,136.
Okay, now regardless of whether I added or subtracted, this is a squared. I don't want a squared, I want a. So square root of both sides, 56.
56.
All right, let's check that. 56 squared. What's 5 times 5?
25.
6 times 6?
36.
5 times 6?
30.
Doubled.
0. Oh, my bad.
Doubled.
My bad. That's 60.
60, and then add a 0, right?
Yes, ma'am.
6, 3, 11, 3. Is that the number I wanted?
Yes, ma'am.
Nope. I can check my work, right? Make sure that I have the right ones. All right, so I'm going to shade in that 56. So what problem am I going to do next?
80.
Add or subtract? Do I have a hypotenuse?
Yes, ma'am.
When I have this hypotenuse, I have to
Subtract.
85 squared minus equals,
Equals A squared.
okay? How we doing?
Good.
Kind of getting some of it? You gotta bring yourself involved. You gotta make sure you're the one learning. 85 times 85.
7,225.
Minus 169.
Yes, ma'am. Equals A squared. And then you subtract.
What do I get when I subtract?
You get
7,000.
7,056.
Equals
84.
Equals
square
A
root.
squared.
It's 84.
Which is 84 equals A squared.
Alright, where's my 84 at? So now I gotta come back up this way. Right? Now I'm quitting going across. Now I gotta come back up this way. Yes?
Yes.
Alright. Now you can work. You gotta stay in your seats. You can work with the person across from you. You can work with the person behind you. Or you can work on your own. Okay? Hand up. If you get stuck, I'll come around and help. Make sure you have the line paper to give me with your homework tomorrow, okay?
So we just keep going to
Keep
the,
going.
the spaceship thing.
Until you get to the stop. Like I said, you should all in all end up with about 16 problems, right?
Yes, ma'am.